The Duggar silence. Is Jana hiding the most shocking twist in family history? She expects twin baby. Family members welcome her. What happens when the most obedient daughter of America's most watched fundamentalist family suddenly disappears? Not into scandal, but into mystery. A woman once celebrated for her quiet devotion is now the subject of rumors that could rewrite the Duggar legacy forever. No public statements, no family confirmation. And yet, signs of something life-altering continue to ripple beneath the surface. Could this be the boldest chapter yet in a story built on control, tradition, and secrets? As whispers turn to wonder, and wonder into speculation, one thing becomes clear. If the rumors are true, then Jana Duggar isn't just changing her own life. She's reshaping the very narrative of who the Duggars are, and what they're no longer able to contain. Dare to read on, because what lies ahead may be the beginning of an entirely new era. Whispers begin to swell the corners of quiet conversations and private messages, soft, almost unspoken suspicions circling the life of a woman who has spent her years silently anchored in duty. Jana Duggar, the ever-composed, ever-obedient first daughter of America's most scrutinized conservative family, now stands at the center of a storm no one saw coming. While her siblings moved forward, some stumbling, some rising, Jana remained. She became the caretaker, the constant, the quiet thread tying together the sprawling Duggar legacy. But now, the narrative is bending. Something no one expected is unfolding just beneath the surface. She hasn't appeared in recent family photos. There are no cheerful Instagram posts featuring her hand in a garden, her smile in a sibling's birthday snapshot. There's only absence, a kind of absence that feels intentional. Behind the scenes, a different image emerges, an intimate portrait slowly forming from fragments. A quiet home nestled far from Arkansas. A woman seen occasionally in oversized sweaters, her face partly turned from view. A new softness around her frame. A woman who looks like Jana, but one who no longer walks under the weight of invisible expectations. The whispers are no longer just whispers. They are questions wrapped in disbelief. Is Jana Duggar expecting twins? The idea feels both impossible and inevitable. For decades, Jana has been the poster child of patience and sacrifice. While her younger sisters moved through the motions of Duggar courtship, meetings chaperoned, engagements accelerated, weddings broadcast, Jana stood still. She tended the home, homeschooled her siblings, stood beside her parents as an unwavering shadow of support. Fans often speculated why she never married. They called her Cinderella Duggar, a title laced with admiration and quiet pity. But if the rumors are true, the truth might be far more radical than anyone imagined. Some say she fell in love years ago, quietly, with someone far beyond the borders of her family's strict belief system. A man unafraid of her silence, who saw the depth behind her composure. A man she couldn't bring home, not without consequences. If that love still burns, it has now taken on a new shape, a life forming inside her, perhaps too. Not as part of a public Duggar ceremony, not with her father's blessing, but within the quiet rebellion of a woman who chooses motherhood on her own terms. In Duggar culture, pregnancy is rarely private. It's a celebration of faith and fertility, marked with declarations and orchestrated gender reveals. But this feels like something else entirely. If Jana is indeed pregnant, and with twins no less, it would mark the most significant departure from Duggar tradition since the family first entered the public eye. What's most astonishing is how little the family says. Jim, Bob, and Michelle, once vocal about every step their children took, offer only vague affirmations when asked about Jana. She's doing well, Michelle once said in passing, her smile tighter than usual. She's spending time with extended friends, Jim Bob echoed later, his words curiously rehearsed. There is no denial. But there is no confirmation either. Just a hollow space where truth usually lives. Family insiders, some former friends, others once close relatives, share cautious accounts. They describe Jana as someone who grew weary of the spotlight but never resented it. A woman who gave and gave, until she realized she had nothing left to give herself. Her decisions now, they say, are not fueled by defiance, but by self-preservation. There's talk of a small property, out west, far from the endless gaze of reality TV, a retreat where Jana may have chosen to rebuild herself, away from parental control and public expectation. It's here, some say, where she finds peace. And it's here, possibly, where her body prepares for the arrival of two new lives, her twins, her turning point. Fans remain divided. Some feel betrayed, others empowered. Supporters of Jana applaud her rumored decision to start a family outside the rigid guidelines she was raised under. They see it as a victory for agency, a woman claiming life on her own timeline. Others, especially those loyal to the family's public values, respond with disbelief. She wouldn't do that. One commenter writes, "Not without marriage, not without God's order." But perhaps this is God's order in a new form, in the quiet pulse of a woman's heart as she prepares for motherhood, not as a Duggar daughter, but as simply Jana. No cameras, no curated purity, no pre-approved husband. Just a woman who waited not for permission, but for clarity. Her journey speaks to something deeper in the American consciousness. It challenges the idea that submission is synonymous with strength. It questions the unspoken rule that silence means agreement. Jana Duggar, once the loyal daughter of one of America's most watched families, now becomes something even more powerful. A symbol of a silent shift, a change so deeply personal that it resists spectacle. As the weeks turn and the whispers grow louder, the Duggar family remains poised but unreadable. The silence is their answer, and it echoes more loudly than any press release. If and when Jana reemerges, she may do so not with an explanation, but with the undeniable presence of new life in her arms. Whether her journey ends in reconciliation or remains apart from the dynasty that raised her, one truth stands clear. She has chosen something no one ever expected, not because it was allowed, but because it was hers. And in that choice, whatever the truth may be, Jana Duggar becomes something she has never been allowed to be before. Undeniably, irrevocably, and beautifully free. The silence surrounding Jana Duggar has grown thick, not with absence, but with meaning. Since whispers first surfaced that she may be expecting twins in a life far removed from the structured constraints of her upbringing, the narrative has shifted from curiosity to quiet reckoning. And yet still, there is no word, no photograph, no denial, no acceptance. Only the weight of a name, a family, and a legacy pressing against a woman who seems to have stepped outside all three. In the heart of Arkansas, the Duggar household continues its daily rituals. Birthday posts roll on, devotional quotes appear with predictable cadence, and family celebrations take place with tightly edited enthusiasm. But Jana's name remains missing, her presence unacknowledged. The absence is no longer subtle. It is strategic. The longer she remains unseen, the more pointed the questions become. A source close to the family, who has requested anonymity, claims that communication between Jana and her parents has been minimal for several months. It's not a feud, the source insists. But there's a kind of pause happening, a distance they're not used to. That pause, many believe, has everything to do with Jana's rumored new chapter. A chapter that, by Duggar standards, defies decades of familial choreography. What fascinates many observers is not just what Jana might be doing, but how the family is responding. For a clan that once capitalized on transparency, often blurring the line between ministry and media, their refusal to comment speaks volumes. Public silence has become their only defense against a world no longer willing to accept smiles without stories. That silence has now birthed theories far deeper than the original rumor. Some followers suspect that Jana's decision to leave the family compound may have been long in the making. Unlike her younger siblings, Jana has long been expected to maintain a kind of spiritual and maternal leadership among the unmarried children. In many ways, she was the glue between parental authority and sibling compliance. Her exit, if that is indeed what's occurred, is not just physical. It's symbolic. It suggests a break in the hierarchy, a crack in the legacy. Among conservative circles that once lauded the Duggar brand, opinions are slowly diverging. While some continue to defend the family's values, a growing number of former followers have expressed empathy toward Jana. There's only so much a person can give before they start wondering who they are without the giving, wrote one former Duggar fan in a widely shared forum thread. Therapists familiar with the psychology of high-control religious families point out that what Jana may be experiencing is not rebellion, but individuation. This is a natural process, says one clinical counselor, especially for adult children who were never truly allowed to be adults. When they do step away, it's often quiet and deeply emotional, not necessarily dramatic or angry. Privately, it's said that Anna is leaning on a small group of confidants, people who understand the impossible position she's in. While she hasn't yet voiced a decision to separate or seek divorce, it's reportedly something she has begun to seriously consider, even if only in private conversations. For a woman raised to believe that marriage is forever, even entertaining that idea is a massive internal shift. But this isn't just about marriage. This is about Anna's entire identity. Her life as a Duggar wife has defined her for more than a decade. Walking away from Josh doesn't only mean leaving the husband, it means unraveling the entire structure her life was built upon. And that is terrifying. Imagine being told your whole life that obedience equals righteousness. Now imagine realizing that obedience may be slowly destroying you. It's clear that Anna's journey is no longer just about being a loyal wife. It's about survival. It's about protecting her children from trauma. It's about figuring out who she is beyond the Duggar name. And that's no easy task. Sources say she's been quietly attending counseling, perhaps looking for clarity and strength. Others say she's begun reconnecting with certain family members outside the Duggar circle, people who encourage her to think independently, to consider what's healthiest for her and her children. But even as these quiet shifts happen, Anna remains deeply conflicted. She's torn between the values she grew up with and the harsh reality she now faces. Her silence is no longer a sign of submission. It's a sign of emotional exhaustion. She's not speaking out because she's still weighing every consequence, still fearing the backlash, still unsure if she's even allowed to consider herself as separate from her husband. And yet, people close to her see the change. They describe her as more reserved, more reflective. They say she is questioning things she never questioned before. They speak of long pauses in conversations, of tears that come from places of deep pain. They say she's no longer just surviving, she's quietly trying to rediscover herself. Is Anna Duggar reaching her breaking point? From everything we gathered, the answer is possibly. And if she is, it wouldn't be a moment of weakness. It would be a moment of awakening. After years of silence, years of loyalty to a man who shattered their family's name, years of holding her head high while the world judged her, perhaps, finally, Anna is starting to think about what she wants, not what she's been told to accept. If that's true, then the world should not look at her as a woman giving up, but as a woman finally choosing herself. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for the next video. Take care and love to you all.